Good morning, everyone. It's another Monday. It's foggy here. It's cold and foggy. It's April. Could snow. No. It better not. I got stuff growing out there. It better not. I got to accept what comes, right? Yes? Well, better not. My hope is, okay, it probably won't, most likely won't, but then you never know what the weather's going to do in April. Well, anywho, there it is. So I'm sitting inside. It is really cold out there right now, so there. Let's get started right here first. It's a funny video of a brother in faith. He's in Korea right now, South Korea, Chungpyeong, and they besides that palace that's finished, and I know, right, another palace, right, but it's got its okay. I remember True Father one time says this. Yeah, Christmas comes around, everybody, or people who are Christians and still do that, put up the little nativity scene, and he says, unbelievable, after 2,000 years, right, we're still sticking Jesus, baby Jesus, in a barn, right, yes? And in a way that he was telling, the story, it was kind of a little bit funny, but he says, can we not elevate? At the time, it was as it was, but why not get a little palace, right? For baby Jesus, right? Yes, we celebrate year after year that he was born in a stable. Well, yeah, because that's supposedly a fact, right? Yes. Not sure, I wasn't there, right? It's written down the way it is. So, in Chungpyeong, that palace is, from what I understand it, right, it's heaven on earth, right? Yes, it's a place for God, right? Specifically built for God. Well, why would God need a place like that? I don't know, right? But why not? Okay, right? So, yeah, all that money could go to something better, this and that. If one starts to think that way, you got to look in your own life first, where a lot of the money could go that you're spending on some things that, okay, same thing, right? Yes? So, again, beware when you judge. You will get judged right back. So, they do what they want there, and I'm good with it. I think, in a way, that's what we built up here all too. It's God's place. What do I own? I've said that before in videos. What do I own? Do I own anything? Huh? Right. Just depends on how you look at it, right? Yeah. Am I a keeper? Right? And user of things, keeper of things, user of things. Do I carry responsibilities for my surroundings? Right? For my marriage, children that I've raised? Yes? Yeah? What kind of guidance am I out there? That's kind of more what I have to own up to. All right. So here we are. Oh, so this guy, so he says, don't tell anyone. I'm not supposed to show you this, but there was another thing that just got finished, so I can't tell you until May 6th. No, it's on Facebook. Okay, whatever. And the first of something in South Korea. First one. Whatever. Anywho, so he's like, don't tell anyone, but I want to show you. And I thought, here's the thing. Well, as I said, funny kind of how, okay, you're putting it on Facebook, hello. But I felt that I probably would have never heard of that. Yes? Okay, I'm not that connected in a way. I I established my connection. So whatever else happens, I'm working on my own family, right? On my own surroundings. That's what I'm, hometown Providence. That's what I'm doing. Yeah? Yes? And the rest of it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to have to leave that up to some other people. Right? Whatever they feel like still needs to, all right, whatever. But I'm not going to South Korea. I've had dreams about going to South Korea, but I don't anymore. Right? It came and it went. It's not something that I need to do. Right? Yes, I've got my heaven right here. Right? Yes, I'm not gonna go and look for it somewhere else. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yes. Or be jealous of it, or judge it somewhere else. Okay. Anywho, so he showed us what that was all about. And I go, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. That's great. I would have never seen that otherwise, right? Most likely. So there you go. Why do certain things come our way that we get to be a part of anyway, even though, right? Yes? Yeah, that's kind of nice. Besides, the guy's funny. All right, so for our condition, celestial condition, established heaven on earth. I was a blessed child. Peace in mankind, care and love for every dependent child. Peace. Every child feels secure, which reflects cause and effect in the child's life. Peace. Every child eats. Peace. Every child is warmed in cold times. I've told this before. As a God-centered, responsible parent. Yes, yes, and there are people out there who would say, well, I don't believe in God, or I don't practice or anything. There may be something out there, but but I'm still a good parent. I would still go for that. You know what I found is that desire to take real good care of your children. Yes, to give them everything possible, the best, right, that there is. That comes from God. If you believe in Him or not, it all comes from God, that desire. And then do it. Right? So, I've mentioned, I think, this before, but Nancy, my sister in faith, and her 2 children at the time. I had 3, I think, or 2 as well, 3. We went into the mountains to stay with a friend, and we ended up sleeping. It was February or March. I can't remember. It was still winter time. We ended up all sleeping out on the deck. And the deck was only partially covered. So we had all our bedding ready, and the sleeping bags, and right, yes. And Nancy slept on one side, and I slept on the outside of the whole thing. And all the children were nestled in between. Yes. I woke up, my feet were frozen. There was frost, and I don't know what, and it was raining too on top of that. So in the morning then there was frost on the sleeping bag, and most of the night I was just going, yes, yeah, Nancy, the same thing, right? But our children all, and of course, because the way I felt, I checked on the children. They were all snoozed out. I mean, they were, of course, you're in the mountains, man. Them children run and this and that. They're so tuckered out, right? When evening time comes. And I made sure that they were really warm. Yeah, she did too. And she did too. Check on the children, make sure they're nice and warm, right? Well, we both of us going, brrr, right? Frozen. Oh, it's so nice to get up and get coffee. Oh my gosh, such times. But yes, yeah, as a parent, your comforts never should come before the children. Yeah. So anyway, so our children are nice and warm and toasty, right? Yes, that's how it should be. Of course, this means a little something different as well, right? But that's in a physical way that you show your children your love, right? As a parent. Peace, understanding a child's growth in troubling times. Then, to guide the child to attain harmony with peace. I am peace as a father, as a mother, as a son, as a daughter of God. Peace, to become the best I can be for every child. And of course, they all slept peacefully, right? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Had another great day the next day. Repentance, knowing every child is deserving of peace. Prayer, knowing every child comes first. Restored, conditions are fulfilled when every child is loved and cared for. Death separates us from our earthly path to attain peace. Our taught descendants are the future. The change of lineage, God's lineage in action. The true cause and effect in a child's harmonious and happy life. Never give up as a parent. I'm telling you. Okay. Of course, our children are going to go one way or the other way. And sometimes we just wonder, is that going to go, right? And what is the future of our grandchildren, great-grandchildren going to look like, right? But you don't give up because of that. You don't give up. And you continuously, right? Yes, even if, I get that sometimes too, right? Start talking about God and the blessings and, the importance of having God and Jesus in your life, and then of course for us, the true parents who, okay, that's a stage in our life that was absolutely necessary. Yes, for the greater good, for the greater cause. Now it's up to us to continue all that. And sometimes I get the rolling eyes, you can't let that disturb you. Yes, because every so often something really beautiful comes back from my children in response to that. In where then I know I get the encouragement. Yes, it's not going unnoticed. It's not just being rejected per se. And find, that's it, you plant the seeds one by one. Eventually they start to sprout. Yes, okay. And in my grandchildren, the same thing. No, we don't force our grandchildren. Oh, my children don't. I don't force religion or God on the constant. It's not like that. It's God is a part of our life, not just something out there that you believe in. It's a part of our life, and it's done in a how would I say, in a constant way, right? Yes. Yeah. Anywho. Everyone has their own spiritual growth, even a child. And one has to just ask, okay, what are they interested in? This and that, in the physical. It's the same in the spiritual. Of course, you want to, okay, you want to experiment with drugs in the physical? No, how about not? That could go a really bad route there. And in the spiritual, of course, there's that too. But again, that's why we have faith, right? And try to be a good example, right? Yes, out there. And mention who? Mention, not force feed, right? Of course, spiritual existence, spirit world, right? Our heavenly parents, yes. Jesus, yes, right? Yes, okay. Anywho, so there it is. There's that. Right? And then our descendants will have also, right? Yes, and it's going to go on and on. Yeah, that's what you want, that foundation. I am an adult, ashamed to ask for anything from my heavenly parents for myself. If a child on earth needs my prayers in conditions greater than I, peace will happen when peace can be found in every child. I will be less than any child that suffers due to mankind's unkindness. Spirit world will hold us all accountable regardless. Remember that. Okay. Let's get started here. Talked enough already. Where are we? Ugh, I wish I'd be done with numbers. Oh, well, guess what? No, we got 2 more to go. 2 more? Yep. I'm reading conclusion down here, which means we're getting there. I find it interesting on how, remember, I went back and I read kind of the overhead, the preface of the book of Numbers. And one thing it said is that it was mainly about infidelity. And, yeah, there was some of it in there, but what was it mainly about? And again, how is that? I feel like after I read the overhead, and then, okay, 36 little chapters here, right? And there was 3 or 4 things about infidelity? And the rest of it was what? About what? So again, detracting the reader from then, because you have that in your head about the infidelity, right? And that's what you have in your head the whole time you're going through it and not really paying attention. Okay, what else is written down here? Right? Yes? Uh-huh. Well, anyway, so interesting. And here it continues, right? Numbers 35, the portion of the Levites. Still not sure if it's really Levites or Levites. Well, anyway, it is what it is. Yahweh spoke to Moses on the plains of Moab, near the Jordan by Jericho, and said, order the Israelites from the heritage they possess to give the Levites towns in which to live and pasture land around the towns. You will give these to the Levites. The towns must be their homes, and the surrounding pasture land must be for their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals. Oh, they do have cattle and animals and all that. Oh, interesting. That's not kind of what it sounds. All right. The pasture land surrounding the towns which you give to the Levites will extend from the walls of the towns for 1,000 cubits all around. Outside the town, measure 2,000 cubits to the east, 2,000 cubits to the south, 2,000 cubits to the west, and 2,000 cubits to the north. The town lying in the center, such will be the pasture lands of these towns. These towns you give to the Levites will be 6 cities of refuge, seated by you a sanctuary for those who commit What? The towns you give to the Levites will be 6 cities of refuge, seated by you a sanctuary for those who commit manslaughter, and you will give 42 towns in addition. Holy cannoli, listen, it's 42 towns, this and that. And they are a sanctuary for those who commit manslaughter. And you will give 42 towns in addition. Altogether, you will give the Levites 48 towns. Oh, okay. 48 towns. Well, I guess. I mean, that's a lot of people. Well, wait a minute. With their pasture lands, of the towns which you give from the Israelites' possessions, you will give more from those who have more and less from those who have less. Each will give you some of his towns to the Levites in proportion to the heritage he himself has received. Now imagine that. Okay, again, so what? First of all, one thing I find very interesting. So we know about all the tribes and the clans and this and that, right? Who breaks camp first? Who breaks camp last? Right? But they're all moving together, aren't they? And now here again, or don't they all, why aren't they all living together in a big old town? Right? I mean, okay, 600, okay, well, how many people were there? Okay, couple million people by now, if there were that many. I mean, I don't know how they multiplied at that time, how fast it's necessary. Couple million people, say. Well, that's not a big deal here. There are cities all over the world where there's more people than just a couple of million living. And then, of course, you have the ones, okay, so say half of them are farmers, this, that, and ranchers, and, okay, sheep herders and whatever, goat herders. And so they may build, their own little village or something out there somewhere, but interesting, all these towns. Now, every clan and every tribe had their, okay, how did that work? Okay, that would be something interesting to study up on if there's actually any kind of conclusive study done out there on that, right? Yes? Now, the Levites, so they're getting supposedly towns from, so are the Levites all over the place? Oh, maybe, right? Every clan, every tribe has their own little town, couple of towns, 48 towns for the Levites. Okay. Their own, like we have churches, right? Yes, in a way. All right, for what? Our spiritual, making sure and have someone around watching. Okay, are you guys all still on track with the offerings and this and that? Okay, I don't know. Maybe it was that way. And sounds like they were also what? Jails? The towns of the Levites. Interesting. Yeah. You have the most holy in a way, in the whole Israel, and then you have the worst living together. If they're seeking sanctuary, right? Interesting. Oh, interesting. All right. So maybe not such, again, in the way that God looks at this all and how he is putting everything together, maybe not so odd, right? Maybe not so. Right? It's just something to, okay. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, one could say more to it. Right? Kind of get deeper into it. Yep. Trying to understand God. What do you want us to do? You want me to live next to someone that, even if it's accidental, murdered someone? Most likely, though, due to what? And so why am I? Okay, but as the most holy in a whole people, what's the attitude supposed to be of a preacher, of a priest, of a reverend? of the people, includes the women and the children of that tribe, of the Levites, working the most close with God together. Huh? Interesting? Who are the Levites in today's world? Interesting. Oh. Cities of refuge. Oh, here we go. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Speak to the Israelites and say, once you have crossed the Jordan into Canaan, you will find towns, some of which you will make into cities of refuge where those who have accidentally committed manslaughter can take sanctuary." Oh, okay. So they were kind of like cities of not all of them. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. We'll get this is a little better explained here now. And you will make it into cities of refuge where those who have accidentally committed manslaughter can take sanctuary. I'm not sure what accidentally committing manslaughter means. You didn't mean to, but with that, I would say that, again, different ways to look at it. One would have to look at every situation exactly, right? Yes? But a lot of these accidental manslaughters, what went on before that? Right? Yes? You're drinking and you're driving. Then you hit another car, kill a whole family. That's accidental manslaughter, isn't it? Is it? I think there's a difference between that and you drive your car and something goes wrong with the car. It should be all okay. You've done everything you could to make sure, but something happens anyway. Steering wheel locks up. Some kind of a malfunction of the car, right? Yes? You hit someone and someone passes away. Now, that's an accidental manslaughter, but that wouldn't be either. That wouldn't be manslaughter, right? That would be something where no one had any control over. It happens. Yes? Yeah. So, but if it's considered manslaughter, then there is responsibility some responsibility that is expected of the person who caused the death of someone, right? And what went before that? What were the foundations to cause that death? Right? Then it's murder done. But we have excuses for all kinds of things. These towns will afford you refuge from the avenger of blood. Oh, but that teaches us something here too. God did not want others to go after people. Yet, what did it? Picking up sticks. Too bad they didn't have them towns then, huh? The dude could have just, all right, he didn't kill anybody. He did what? He went and picked up sticks. Got what? Stoned for it? Beaten and stoned for it? To death. Now, see, how does this make sense then? Now, this makes more sense to me. When I look at this, again, God's trying to keep the Israelites in check. So look, you're going to just start doing whatever. You feel like you're going to be doing the right thing. You have the right to do it. That was done to you. Now you're going to go and do it to them. Blah, 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 right? An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and a da-da-da-da-da-da. People can understand that however they want to, don't they? And they do. Can they? And they do. But here, how interesting. Oh, well, let's keep going. It could get worse. But there you go. Again, These towns will afford you refuge from the avenger of blood, so that the killer will not be put to death before standing trial before the community. Of the towns you give, 6 will serve you as cities of refuge. As cities of refuge, you will give 3 towns on the other side of the Jordan, and will give 3 towns in Canaan. These 6 towns will serve as refuge for the Israelites, the first prisons and jails. Interesting, refuge. For the foreigner and for the resident alien, where anyone who has accidentally killed someone can take sanctuary. Oh. But if he has struck the person with an iron object so as to cause death, he is a murderer. The murderer will be put to death. If he has struck him with a stone meant for killing and has killed him, he is a murderer. The murderer will be put to death. Or if he has struck him with a wooden instrument meant for killing and has killed him, he's a murderer. The murderer will be put to death. The avenger of blood will put the murderer to death. Whenever he finds him, he will put him to death. I get tired of explaining all this, but so some get a trial and some don't. I'm not sure what the difference is between being an absolute, excuse my language, idiot and drink to the point of, and then get into a car and start driving. Then you're not intending to kill someone. One doesn't know the consequences of that. Speeding, the same thing. There's a reason why we have speed limits. As annoying as they may be sometimes. There's certain other things. I'll just keep using that example. There are others. So, someone drunk in a rage has an argument with someone and picks up a stick, a rock, a metal object, and hits someone over the head with it and kills that person. That's not accidental manslaughter. Yet, if you get in a car and you kind of do the same thing, that's accidental manslaughter. Okay. Yeah, well, but. Yeah, I hear all the buts and the ifs and the I don't know what. But if you really think about it, what's the difference? There's no difference. Not in my opinion. Same thing if you got brakes in your car that don't work right, certain other things, and you know that, and you're going out on the road anyway. Yes? Now you're telling me that's not in a way premeditated, that well, I could have an accident, my brakes don't really work right, this and that, could hit someone, but selfish desire said, meh. How does that make sense? I see? Yeah. If you know about it. Okay. So where's God in all this? I find it interesting on how these 6 towns will serve as refuge for the Israelites, for the foreigner, and for the resident alien. I mean, it's for everyone to start out with. And it seems like that the beginning thought of it, right, is one doesn't just reflect before you react, right? Take someone else's life. Yes? And I would say that God kind of counted on, okay, if I set it up this way, then people will find another way to deal with atrocities, horrible things happening to each other, right? Yes? Uh, it's difficult to know exactly. I know how to take all this when it comes to some things. If the killer has maliciously manhandled his victim or thrown some lethal missile to strike him down, or out of enmity dealt him the death blow with his fist, then he who struck the blow will be put to death. He's a murderer. The avenger of blood will put him to death whenever he finds him. If, however, he has manhandled his victim by chance, without malice, or thrown some missile at him, not meaning to hit him. That's weird. Okay, I'm not going to say more about it. I can't. This just sounds like all the excuses one needs to not take responsibility. Okay? Or without seeing him, dropped on him a stone meant for killing, and so killed him, so long as he bore him no malice and wished him no harm. Then the community will decide in accordance with these rules between the one who struck the blow and the avenger of blood, and will save the killer from the clutches of the avenger of blood. Oh, that's interesting. Wait, I didn't mean to do it. There you go. Changes everything. They will send him back to the city of refuge where he had taken sanctuary, and there he will stay until the death of the high priest who has been anointed with the holy oil. Should the killer leave the bounds of the city of refuge, is which he has taken sanctuary, and the avenger of blood encounter him outside the bounds of his city of refuge, the avenger of blood may kill him without fear of reprisal. Who's the avenger of blood? Did they have what did they call? They had executioners cruising around? What? The avenger of blood. Since the killer should stay in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. Only after the death of the high priest is he free to go back to his own piece of property. Such will be the legal rule for you and your descendants wherever you may live. It's like a life sentence. In any case of homicide, the evidence of witnesses will determine whether the killer must be put to death. But a single witness is not enough to sustain a capital charge. You will not accept a ransom for the life of a murderer condemned to death. He must die. Nor will you accept the ransom for anyone who, having taken sanctuary in his city or refuge, wishes to come back and live at home before the death of the high priest. Bribes, this, that going on, possibly going on. I had to mention it. Do not profane the country you live in. Blood profanes the country, and for the country, the only expiation for the bloodshed in it is the blood of the man who shed it. So do not defile the country which you live in, and where I live, for I, Yahweh, live among the Israelites. Yeah, okay. Told you, don't like numbers. What did I say up in the beginning? Oh, I like numbers. This isn't about what I thought it was, really. Don't defile the country. Really. They already defiled the country. With what? It talks about that in Numbers too. Killing babies and women, keeping the young girls. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm not sure what to think about that. I know that I guess it got to the point. Why? Why was this not already given kind of in the same way. We're not talking, the Israelites didn't start out as 20 or 50 people, right? Yes? They already started out as 600,000 men, plus whatever, women, children. Yes? So they had no problems. Well, yeah, they talk about that somewhat too, this that, but not in that kind of expansion. Now here they're settling, they have all the time, and suddenly now there is just this horrific stuff that had to be dealt with. Right? Not only that, but you got the Avengers of Blood going around too. Right? Yes? And even though Yahweh supposedly is letting them know that no, while they're in the town, right, awaiting trial or then sentenced, have to stay in these towns until the high priest dies. That's a weird one, right? Yes? Could die the next day of old age or, accidentally killed too. All right, just saying, right? So you can't bribe anybody, but still there's this door open of, okay, let's poison the high priest or something. I'm just saying, so there's all kinds of ways. You're already dealing with bad people. What makes people think that suddenly they just become good? Okay? As I said, weird rules, weird ways. That again, part of it, I have no doubt, is truly God's word in there. But there was so much added to it. For the benefit of whom? Right? And then what? There is that, well, if they leave the town, and of whoever's clan or tribe, I'm assuming that's kind of how it went, somebody, it was, you go and look. As soon as that person steps out, you kill him. You kill him. Right? Killed one of ours, you kill him. So what, they had people assigned? How many people were sneaking around them towns just waiting? So there you go. Right? That's not premeditated killing then? Okay, just saying. Here's the other thing too, what I found. I guess it was there. It was that then, it is, and it is now that way. Your own people are always the most important. Your clan, your tribe, right? And if anything happens to them, you get mad. You get upset. And you want vengeance. You want, okay, not everybody's like that, but that's, Yet, who are we killing out there? From whose clan and whose tribe? And they feel exactly the same way. Right? Yes? Yeah. Unless, okay, some people are just, okay, all right. So mentally disturbed, this and I don't know what. Okay, that's a different category again but just talking, okay, regular people, right, all over the world, yes? When I think of the gangs and the mafias out there, whatever, and they have families and they have children. And they're brutal. They're just brutal, right? Yes? And they have no problems on killing people and chopping their hands off if they try to run away and say, oh my gosh, and I got to get away from this. Or I don't know what else, goes on with all that, right? But when then law and order goes after them and one of them accidentally gets killed or even on purpose, got to take that one out. It's just not. Then that's like, right? So it's on both sides. That some care so little for another's child, for example, another mother's and daughters, right? Father, son, whatever, right? And so carelessly take lives. But when it happens to them, somehow there's no realization of how many people have I killed due to the fact in what I'm involved in. And here now it's hitting home. No, it's right, the vengeance and the revenge just right, doubles and triples. It's a weird one, right? Isn't it? Anyway, don't know. I find that an odd one. And I find what we find, the examples that we find, that are the most amazing and lessons that we're getting from other people is when parents lose a child to horrific circumstances, this, that, or whatever, and that clan, that tribe can forgive the offender. Those are saints in our world. And no doubt they have to work their whole life on that to keep that forgiveness going. Yes? Anywho, so there you go. We got two sides to learn from, right? Yes? We're going to be on one or the other. Just depends. I know bloodshed, regardless, is never the answer. Doesn't matter. It never, ever. Because someone always gets hurt. And often, always someone innocent gets hurt. Truly innocent. Always. Directly or indirectly. Yes? Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. So, I feel like this particular one now here, Numbers 35, either way one wants to look at it, it's a passage that we should give some thought to, right? Lots of thought to, really. Where do we stand with all this? So that I can't force feed anybody anything. The heart, the mind has to be in the right place. The spirit has to be awakened and alive, and the soul connected to God. And maybe then we'll be able to actually respond appropriately when we come across horrific, terrible things. Right? Not to let someone get away. It's for our own peace of mind as well. And our place in heaven. Got my place of heaven on earth. I do. I really do. Yes. Now I'm working for mine in heaven too. Mine. You're all welcome to come visit. There too. I can't wait. Spirit roller coaster. goes, yeah, we can't. uh, uh, I know, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. I am working on something else as well, though. Yes, okay. So I saw a good one. That's the last thing I'm going to mention today. Little post uh, on how truly happiness, in one's life, this, that. And there's a brother in faith. That's a good little post, this, that. That's a, yeah, yeah. Be a truly happy person. Yeah. And hopefully, to even more so and gracefully grow old. This, and that. All right. So I thought, I looked at this and going, me too. I am absolutely perfectly happy. Love my surroundings. Always when I'm by myself. The only time when conflict arises, some, this or that, or where there are just times where, as I said, perfectly happy, everything's always just yes, and no outside interference. Animals don't, and plants, it's not the same. That is not the same as people for me. But as soon as people are around, then suddenly one has to, yes, okay, coexist, this and that, right? And things just come up, or this or that, and I'm working on staying silent, to just go with, right? And develop that peace of mind, absolute peace of heart to mind, while I'm around people as well. Right? Yes? Yeah. Oh, it's a hard one for me. It's a hard one. Where I'm not just not saying anything, I want to, right? But also don't feel the need to have to do that. And where my inside stays completely calm, not doesn't get frustrated, doesn't get, and start having thoughts I really don't want to have, not interested in. So I'm trying to train myself. Yes, yeah. I'll let you know how that all works out. Yeah. It's good. It's it's good. It's working. I'd say I'm about 60% there, maybe. It'll be interesting. Again, I'm not just observing people out there in my surroundings, this, and that. I observe myself. Yes. Try to be very honest with myself. Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. There you go. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to you another time.